really close. But we're in such a commanding position that it just doesn't matter here. So I go to attacks here, draw a card, trigger, trigger. We get the Skyclave Apparition. Skyclave Apparition against this deck is a house, by the way. So after combat here, the Skyclave Apparition, get the Skyclave Shade out of here for good. Get out of here. Then we'll play the Soul God Lantern. And it doesn't really matter here because we're going to exile their whole graveyard. Now, all the advantage they kind of built up here with all these cards just doesn't matter anymore. Just concede, opponent. Just concede, you know it's over. Hourglass is ticking. How's it going, y'all? Time to Smash MTG, and today we're back with some more MTGA standard action. And this time we have a list from my good buddy Mythic Matt over on. He has a YouTube channel, got a Twitch. Mythic Matt, hit him up. One of the better deck builders I know, one of the best players I've ever seen play the game that's not a pro. The guy is just really, really good at Magic. But he brewed this Jeskai control shell with Yorion. And y'all know me, I'm Mr. Aggro, Mr. Gruul, all that kind of stuff. But deep down in my heart, I've still got a little soft spots for control sometimes too. And this list was actually really, really fun to play. The commentary you're going to see over this is post-commentary. I didn't record commentary while recording this. As you've seen from the last video, things have been going pretty rough with Magic lately, and this is the same day that I recorded that one. Decided to just throw on some headphones and just kind of play some games and record in the background, and if something happened to go well, then I'd show it. And we actually had some really good games with this, and I wanted to show them off. Just an update. Other creators have kind of talked about this. So Power Dragon's mentioned this in his video, who's another great creator. We play these kind of things. We play a lot of different decks to show you all these different cards and these different lists. We don't want to play the top meta decks over and over because that's really boring for anybody watching these videos. Nobody wants to see just the top deck in standard 3 times a week. That's boring. So we try all these different decks, but the bad news of that is sometimes a variance of that will kick your butt. Sometimes you're always playing these decks you've not really had much reps in, so you're pretty bad with them. But then also, you're just playing worse versions of decks you could be playing, so your rank's going to suffer too. We're kind of taking those hits for you. So it's one of those things, maybe my rank isn't the way it used to be. Maybe I'm not as good as some of these decks I used to be, but we're still having fun with it. We're trying to, and that's the important thing. And luckily here, this one was actually a lot of fun. So we're going to take this into ring. Like I said, post-commentary coming up. Just enjoy it. Let's go. Alright, so the first game of the day here is against Gooey Terminator, a controller. Now, one thing you'll notice here, a huge mistake I made with this list is I didn't change up the basic lands for the first game, so we have just regular basics. Terrible on my part, so sorry, hate to see it. Mulligan this hand away, though. 2 red sources, when we play the least amount of red, the deck is kind of iffy. Here, having a mulligan, figure I'll go ahead and ship away the Elspeth. The Narset can be used as removal, or the Elspeth, even though it's like a fine card, it's just one that we don't really need to, it's just, it doesn't make the impact the Narset can. So, Triumph for opponent, cancel Lockdwayne into Kroxa. So, right off the bat, we assume this is probably Rakdos Midrange. We'll pitch the ECD here. ECD against this deck is actually terrible. They play next to nothing that doesn't convert a mana and costs 3 or more. They have... Sometimes they play Scavenger, and sometimes they play Rankle. That's about it. I guess Bonker's a giant. But that's about it, so it's a dead card in a lot of spots. So we got that Berthamelitis down. We got the Itis, the Berthamelitis. Timuret Calls the Dead. Okay. Not a bad one for them. They hit a Skyclave Shade and a Kroxa here, which is pretty funny, because if they want to make a zombie, they have to exile one of those, which they probably don't want to do. So, not too bad for us. They decide not to. Whoopsie daisy. Nothing we can do here but hold it down, bring that Yorion to hand. Here, opponent can go ahead and play their Kroxa, should they want to. Fast forward it here, opponent finally decides to play a Woe Strider. I guess they didn't hit a land. Maybe they have a tap land? They're going to tap land. Okay. Hopefully y'all don't judge me too much, for playing control. I know I'm a pretty aggressive streamer usually, but like I've said in prior videos, for those you know me, I actually started out playing control before I ever played aggro decks. I was a Jeskai control mage in paper, my first ever kind of bigger tournament little thing I went to. I played Jeskai control with it's a fairy hero Dominaria as the win con, and had an experience there, which made me never want to play control again. So if you ever want to hear about that, feel free to ask, and I can tell that story. But whew. So here we play the Nascito. Figure I probably need to kill Woestrider. And I want to make sure I can try to keep my Narset alive, so I decided to kill this Woestrider off. This way I still got this 0-4 blocker for their 2-2. And if they want to play Croxa, that means they can't kill my 0-4. I've got the Shadow of the Sky, so if they play, anything they play here, I can wipe the board. And wipe the board is a little bit redundant against this deck when it has things like Skyclave Shade, but you gotta do what you gotta do. And I guess this video goes up on a Friday, so if this goes up on a Friday, it'll be Kaladesh time. So if you haven't seen by the time this video, this may be up on a Sunday, but I think I'll post this on Friday. Maybe playing some Historic. You'll see some Historic on the channel soon. Try some new brews from there. Discard-wise, I decided to pitch another Omen just in case they have a removal spell from my 0-4. I want to be able to still play another Narset should we need to. And it's a good thing I did because they have the Bloodchief's Thirst and land. Opponent sequenced that very well. So here we go ahead. They attack. Get it dead. Yikes. No 5th land is a bit concerning, though we have a Maria's Call. We could just play that. So we go ahead and shatter their sky. Yeah. And it kind of stinks because he likes saving that in this deck, but we got to play it here. Still only one blue source, though. That's pretty awkward because we played the most blue sources out of anything in here. Opponent at 6 mana, which is spoopy because now they can start kicking this thing. Here we go ahead and just draw a card, discard. Trying to decide here what we do. I think I just want to get rid of the Skyclave Shade, but maybe I don't. But for now, I'll go ahead and just do that and hit it. It's a weird spot to be in because we can leave it there and then Narset just dies. I don't know. The good news is, even if they get us game 1 here, I do feel like we have a good deck after sideboard against them. And opponents just drawing this really well, too. So they do that. Now they can play their Skyclave Shade again and play a Bone Crusher. Instead, they just kick it, have another 5-3. Cards are great. So we finally get a second blue source, but it's just a little bit too late. Decided to go ahead and just wrap it up here. Don't think I'm going to be able to take the battlefield over quite in time to get there. Maybe that was an early concession. I probably shouldn't concede that soon. But like I said before, I was kind of on a tilt from my games earlier. So I kind of blame that little bit of an early concession there to me being angry. But I'm trying to get better at that. I'm trying to get better at a lot of things in the game. I don't think I'm a bad player, but I think, luckily I've had a lot of great people on Twitter point out some of the things I've been doing wrong in some videos. Or maybe, I've been keeping some sketchy hands. Just a little bit of misplays here and there. Just little things, but they do add up enough over time. So I'm trying to be a better player. Opponent finally sideboard here. Like I say, I'm trying to be a better player. Whether you're a pro player at the top of your game or you're just somebody making YouTube videos, you're always trying to get better. And I think a lot of people expect, oh, you're doing this video on YouTube, you must be great. Not really, man. I'm trying my best to be better at the game, but that does not mean that I'm just super good at this or anything. Here we go and play the Glasspool Shore to start it off with. We have this tempo we can play on 2 should we need to. We get Durist. So opponent can take my Birth of Meletus here and kind of keep me off a card draw. They can take my Stomp or my Bone Crusher. No, they can't take my Bone Crusher. Just kidding. They can take Shark Typhoon, but that doesn't feel bad. They take the Birth, which is probably the right call there. Here we find a land off the top, so we'll keep that though. Opponent finally decides to play land number 2. Agonizing Remorse. So they're just hand disruption deck. And there goes the Bone Daddy. Probably just would have played the Bone Crusher out, honestly. But this isn't bad either. I can still... Excuse me. Can still cycle a Shark Typhoon for 1 just to make a 1/1 and draw a card. But hopefully, I know these post-commentary games, the commentary is not as exciting because I'm not in the moment. kind of like having a nice little fireside chat. We have your everybody grab your blueberry pomegranate sparkling water and enjoy. So we get a Scorching Dragonfire here, which is pretty nice. Exile on a Skyclave Shade always feels really good. Pass the turn here. For now, I want to hold on to it just in case they play a Kroxa or something like that. So I'm kind of happy to block for now. Because I feel like if they're going to play it, they can just play a land this next turn. And then play the Skyclave Shade anyways. But if they play a Kroxa, I would much rather just exile that with Scorching Dragonfire. So there comes a land. There comes Skyclave Shade once again. And here I decide, while they have that crack, to go ahead and Scorching Dragonfire it. Reason being is because if I let that resolve and Scorching Dragonfire it, if they really wanted to, they could respond and stomp it. So that way it would still die, but they still get their Bonecrusher Giant back, but also would still have their Skyclave Shade in the bin. Nevertheless, they found another one. Once again, we miss a land. Pretty par for the course with how my games have gone lately. But that's variance, baby. That's magic. It's a fun part of the game. Missing land drops is fun. Opponent swings for 3 here. 3 for Dale. Throw him up, baby. Throw him up. Mired Triton. That's a Woe Strider. So we're looking for untapped white source to try to shatter their skies. Opponent does a little Village Rites action here. Probably trying to find a land, play it. I mean, this is why Skyclave, like that little combo right there with Village Rites and Skyclave Shade is pretty sweet. So that's a land. Almost cycled that. Spoiler alert, I might do that later in the video on accident. Whoops. So opponent swings for 5. We go to 12. But we ain't scared, baby. 12 ain't 0. Okay, opponent finally plays another land and just passes the turn. Sound like I said pass the turn, but it's also like I said pass the turd. Let's play a Dream Trawler. Dream Trawler against Rakdos is a house because they don't play board wipes, which is like the only thing that can really kill this. We have to take our beats from Mired Tritons, but this is one of those things you kind of just let the other cards beat you down because Dream Trawler just gains you so much life so fast as a house. Land for opponent. They've only got 2 cards in hand. They're staring at Dream Trawler like they think they can do something. Girl, bye. Yeah, that's never going to work. So here we can discard one of our mini Shadow the Skies because it looks like it ain't happening right now. And I love that they use their whole turn for that. Go ahead, swing 5. See if I care. Shark Typhoon, really nice draw here. And double Dream Trawler also seems pretty good. Double Dream Trawler also just gains a bunch of life, does a lot of damage, gets the big swings in there. Village Rites, they're trying to find an answer, but there's no answer to this. Like, you don't answer this. You crazy? You crazy gooey Terminator? Come on. Alright, opponent finally plays a Woe Strider. They get the Hourglass coming down. And fun story about the opponent. Gooey Terminator, as a young kid, they were just drawn to Hourglasses. They thought the design was really neat. Their taste in women, I guess, with the Hourglass figure. I don't know where I'm going with this, but basically the opponent's slow. That's what we're getting at here. So here, trigger. Like, there's so much stuff we can do here. Elspeth could potentially pump lethal out on these things. Not absolute lethal, but it gets really close. But we're in such a commanding position that it just doesn't matter here. So I go to attacks here. Draw a card. Trigger. We get the Skyclave Apparition. Skyclave Apparition against this deck is a house, by the way. But yeah, we were swinging for 12 there. We were going to go up to 22. Brutal for the opponent. Now, one thing to note with sideboarding here, you see I've got the 2 Sublime Epiphanies in here. I should have taken these out last time. When I was talking to Matt about it too, we were kind of talking about other things that we could sideboard in here. Like, that's just an oversight on my part. Honestly, I should probably take out the other Sublime, but the reason you don't is because it's a cool card. Like, why would you cut a cool card? Bad in the matchup? We don't care. Opening hand here is actually pretty sweet. We got the Scorching Dragonfire for removal on 2. We got the Shadow of the Sky backup. This is a hand. So opponent mulligans here. Drop the Hagra. Pass the turn. We pick up a Skyclave Apparition, which is another just fantastic card in this matchup. So already here feeling really good. Opponent with 2 turns of doing nothing makes me very happy. Like we have this Omen of the Sea. We have Scorching Dragonfire. Okay, opponent, baby. I can't say much because you've seen some of my videos lately where I'm just drawing really bad or keeping bad hands, but don't keep hands like that. So here I stack these this way so that way I can draw the Fable Passage and then draw the Great Shark on our upkeep. Because I want to have both of these cards, but I want to have this Fable Passage so that way I can still play it out, fetch for whatever I need to fetch for, thin the deck out a little bit. Here we're still holding up Dragonfire, we're still holding up Omen of the Sun. Or no, Omen of the Sea, sorry. So they just play a Timuret, and I guess they just scoop it up. They realize what they've done. GG, but I mean, if you look at our hand there was no way we were losing that game. Not even close. So we get to gold 3. Woo. Next game here against Viper Hoops. Little hoopsie daisy, all my Fall Guy friends out there. We'll take the play this time. Love to see that. 5 lands here is pretty heavy, but it's really a 2-3-5 curve, so that's not that bad. In the dark here, I think you keep anything with the Bone Crusher on 2 with it usually. You see here, I had to fast forward again. It turns out the people we play, I mean, they just played a Fable Passage and then they just walked away and forgot how Magic works. But yeah, it turns out when you have cards like that, you can't just you can't play the card and walk away and heat up egg sandwich or something. You got to do your thing. Mountain for opponent. More Rakdos. We have plenty of lands to discard. Plenty of lands. Okay, instead they just go with the Mire Triton. That'll eat a stomp. Let's get it out of there. Okay, Narcito. Not a bad draw either. So this allows us to go... I mean, you see that curve, even though it looked a little bit funky, that's keeping 5 lands. That's a 2, 3, 4, 5 curve. 2, 3, 4, 5. Anything you say, 5. That's Dave Chappelle reference, by the way. So we got this big old 4-3 just holding the line down. Ain't even worried. If they want to kill it, they can kill it. Be our guest. So that's what happens there. They just play their own. Not really worried about that. Now, if I wanted to get real aggressive, I could play Narset minus the ECD. However, this is like the one card that you see in front of us here that ECD is actually a target for. So I figure I just hold the line back for now, and then we hit an ECD at this next turn if we have to. And if they want to kill our Bone Crusher Giant, like if that's how they spend their turn, then we're totally fine with that. Land for opponent. Bloodchief Thirst, yeah, like I'm saying, if you want to spend your whole turn just to kill that and get 4 damage in, go for it, Chief. And we draw another one, which is nice. But for now, ECD coming down. Plus, it's nice because we have this Bone Crusher Giant in the yard, so we can just play it out as a 5-4 later when ECD goes off if we want to. So we take that around, y'all. Skyclave Shade for opponent. Throwing some shade on us. Get it? Skyclave Shade. They're throwing some shade. You get it? Do you get it? And a Croxa. Neither of which we can really exile or do much about, y'all. So I decided to go ahead and just get the ECD in the graveyard there. Because again, it's dead against most of their deck other than Bone Crusher Giant. Opponent, this is where you play a land or you pass the turn. Not very hard. They're obviously holding a land for the Skyclave Shade later, I'd imagine. That's what I'm the control deck here, and we're playing against these slow pokies. Here, decided to just pay 3 mana. Get this Yorion back in hand, and then we're still holding up Stomp here if we need to. So I go ahead and Stomp here now before damage. This saves 3 life, but I think it probably would have been smarter to hold on to that, because if they were going to, I could have just taken that hit there and then let them, say if they play a red mana here for Kroxa, for instance, they would have already played their land for turn, and then I could have stomped it. But, I mean, we saved 3 damage, so it's not like it was a huge difference there either way. So, no Kroxa. Instead, Skyclave Shade coming back once again. And another Kroxa. The nice part about this, though, is we can just discard Yorion. Opponent's holding priority over something here, and they've been so slow this whole game. So finally, yeah, we go to discard here. I'm going to go ahead and crack this Fable Passage real quick, just so I don't forget, because I'm pretty bad to misclick through these things sometimes. As you see, we have the new and improved basics now. Figure I'd go ahead and discard Yorion, that way we can get it back for free. We're not going to have anything to blink here, but still, we get a 5/6, which is totally fine. A 5/6 flyer in the air could provide a pretty valuable clock. So here, decide to play Dosset, play Bone Crusher, and then I'm just going to plus up. Nothing to really discard right now, so I'd rather just hold on this Riverglide pathway for the moment. I know I could have drew a card and discarded, but I think for what they have in their deck, I would rather up the loyalty on this thing a little bit, make sure that it lives. His opponent plays Kroxa, and this is another reason why we did that last turn with the plus here, because even if we minus and got a card we could use, we'd just be discarding it here anyway, so it wouldn't make much sense to hold on to it. Here we draw a land. We say we don't want that land, we're going to minus this. Instead we draw another land. Nice there. So we can't attack in the Bone Crusher, but we can get in there with Yorion for 5. And I think that's a doable play for now. So we do that, get them down to 12, put a stop on our upkeep just in case we need to Castle Vantress. I'm going to Castle Vantress on end step. See if we can find some neat little toys. That was creepy, right? Once again, opponent going to timer here. Like I said, we're the control deck. We're the ones supposed to be slow, but opponents just... They're taking their sweet little time. They decide to attack us. And then throw Skyclave at the Narset. I feel like for now, my value the Narset, finding a card over the Bone Crusher Giant. So I block here. We go down to 6, which isn't fun territory to be in, but it could be worse. Timuret calls the dead for opponent. Whew. They find 2 walks out of that, which is a bit scary. They decide to exile their Kroxa. Interesting decision. So end step here, we're going to activate Castle, scry 2. Let's see what we got. Both pretty sweet cards. Look at my mana. I do want both of these cards. Think we keep a Maria's Call on top here. Could kill Kroxa, but that just doesn't really mean much for us. So I think we're just gaining a little bit of life. And that life is relevant because we can get a little bit out of Kroxa range here. Almost played that as land. It would have been very sad if that were the case. We make it some 4/4s. Now I have an interesting decision because I can go to attack here, swing for 5, and get them down to 12 or get them down to 7. It's rough, you know. We got options here. I decided to swing in because we can chump block this Kroxa for 1, and as long as they don't have like a haste creature or anything, we survive here. And if they have like a haste creature, we still have ways of we go down to 1 if it's like a robber or something. So the opponent makes another 2/2 here. We're down to 6. So if they have like double removal, we're dead. But like I said, we kind of got to put them in a position where we're forcing them. They've only got 2 cards in hand, forcing them to just make them have the answer instead of getting lucky. You know, like if they have those last 2 cards or both removable, more power to them. But otherwise, even if they swing with a Kroxa and a 2/2 here, then we go to 1. So they got the robber here. So this means if they have a removal as their last card, we're also dead. So opponent goes to attack. We go down to 3, and once again, 3 for Dale, baby. Chump block on the Kroxa, kill the Roberto, go to 1. Is that last card removal? Because if not, you are dead, my friend. And it's not. Good game there. Let's go to game 2. We've already done the sideboard plan before, so the Soul Guide MVP in this matchup for sure comes in. Bring in the Storm's Wrath, bring in the Shatters. And even though they're a little bit awkward in this deck because they can keep replaying their creatures, I do think it's worth just, you know, we got to make them earn it, eat their graveyard just to play these creatures, and then we re-kill them again. So ECDs go out. Bring in the Neutralize, take out 1 Sublime Epiphany, but we leave the other one in there because it's a cool card, and there's nothing wrong with that. Another more viable cut there is probably 1 Ox of Agonis because they do bring in Hand Disruption on the second game. So Ox of Agonis could be a good card too, but we ain't about that life because of Sublime Epiphany that we'll never play. So Fatal Passage for opponent. Missed it, but I had to edit once again because they played their Fatal Passage and they walked their dog, they called their grandma, they did all kinds of stuff, but play the game. So we sat there and waited. Here we have a Shatter. Even though I have a Storm's Wrath on top, I do think keeping another Shatter just as kind of a safe thing here is smart. And because they do play a lot of Hand Disruption, like I was saying, so if they take their Storm's Wrath, maybe they think they can kind of play out to the board here and then we shatter them. That's what we're about here, shattering hopes and dreams. Kind of like the rank ladder does to me all the time. Viper Hoops with the Sky Clave Shade. Super annoying. Here I play the blue because I'm probably just going to I'm going to Shankle the Shark Typhoon. Opponent follows up attack by playing a Cancel Lock Wayne, a Mire Triton. So we're starting to get some things we can kill here. There goes the Duress. Alright, we cycle for 0. Power move. Temple of Epiphany. Not too bad. We do have so many untapped lands here that I think we're okay to just play an untapped land and then get Yorion in the hand. So we do red this time. I can still do white with the other Needle Verge, so that way we have both Storm's Wrath and Shadow of the Sky open. Got a discard here. Figure we just discard this Temple of Enlightenment because I want these untapped lands coming into play. And we're getting close to Dream Trawler. One more land we can Dream Trawler. And that's kind of what you want to do with this deck is just clear the way with your removal spells. Then you slap Dream Trawler down and just win. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than others, but eventually you just win. Tap land for opponent after they swing. They get us down to 12 and they just pass the turn. Here, one thing that's important, I think, is if you have the choice between Storm's Wrath and Shatter there, you usually want to Storm's Wrath first, just because Storm's Wrath doesn't kill Kroxa. So you want to make sure that you can save that Shatter for when they have the Kroxa out and you have to kill it. Discard here, so for me it's between Birth and the land here, but I figure the I don't know, Birth doesn't really do much here. So we just get it out. Shoe fly shoe. Plus we have the Solemn Still Anachrony anyway, which you can play. And we're totally fine. Like if they just play a Skyclave Shade here, we play the Solemn Still Anachrony, we ramp up, so we have the guaranteed Dream Trawler mana. And we do draw a Skyclave Apparition, which is a good draw. I would rather save it for their Kroxa though. So here we go, searching for a land. We got the double blue already. So I might as well go ahead and get that double white now. Doesn't really matter what we do with that. Yeah, but now we're in a great spot here. We got the Solemn Still Anachrony, which I'm happy to trade with if they go to attacks. And even if they spend their whole turn Kroxa or Skyclave Shade kicked, doesn't matter because we got Dream Trawler, baby. So opponent moves to attacks. And they actually attack, which I am. Anybody who plays Solemn, you know that you're always willing to make this block. Because getting rid of their creature and drawing a card, that's good business. So we will happily draw another card. Omen of the Sea, not a bad one to draw either, because we can use this on our turn with Dream Trawler. Pump it up a little bit, gain a little bit more life. Fine by us. Here, opponent plays an Ox of Agonis to discard the hand, draw 3 cards. We draw another Shatter, which the Shatter's been like both, they've been nice, but also a little bit awkward when I have things like Dream Trawler, because once Dream Trawler's out, you hardly ever want a Shatter. So opponent's at 22, we're at 12, but we definitely have the advantage creature-wise now. Agonizing Remorse for the opponent. I'm not sure what they even take here, to be honest. I would think Skyclave Apparition, but apparently that was not the case. Opponent goes down to 21. Opponent goes to timer, yet again. 17:38 on opponent's clock to 24:04 on ours. Skyclave Shade it is. They can attack into this. Ooh, you'll love to see it. So we draw a card here, get a Shatter Skull Smashing, which is very interesting because we can kill both of those. Decide to attack first. Fable Passage here, not bad. I can also Omen of the Sea during attack here. So, while in combat, let's go ahead and flash this Omen of the Sea in real quick. Ooh, Soul God Lantern is probably huge GG's here. I'm going to keep both of these because these are both good cards, but we want that Soul God Lantern now. So, casually swing for 6 in the air. They go to 15. We go to 18. There's just so much we can do here. Play this land. And I can either kill both of these, or I can do something like Skyclave, their Skyclave Shade, and then Soul God Lantern to exile their graveyard. So after combat here, let's Skyclave Apparition, get the Skyclave Shade out of here for good. Get out of here. Then we'll play the Soul God Lantern. And it doesn't really matter here because we're going to exile their whole graveyard. Now, all the advantage they kind of built up here with all these cards just doesn't matter anymore. Use this last mana. Sacrifice Soul God Lantern. No mana needed. Exile their graveyard. Goodbye. Now, opponents at 15, we're at 18. We have the Shatter Skull in hand for more removal, so we're feeling great. It's going to be hard for them to beat a Dream Trawler, though. Just concede, opponent. Just concede. You know it's over. Hourglass is ticking. Opponent finally decides after his whole turn to just kill my Skyclave Apparition. Congratulations, you have yourself a 2/2. They can swing 4 if they want to, but we're just going to gain it right back. And this is where it's like, it's just almost pointless to even try at this point. Like, congrats, you got me down to 14. I'm about to just ruin your life here. And this Drink Trawler, even though it's a control card, it's kind of tight and smashed. As you see the pose of the arm, it's kind of like it's my green screen. Kind of like you're doing some of this action like in the gym. So it's actually a cool card. Right? Right? So we draw Scorching Dragonfire. The one that we're going to hold on to this, reason being they do play Rankle sometimes. And Rankle can make us sacrifice this Dream Trawler, and that's where we just lose the game if they do that. Luckily, that's what comes down right here. However, no. Scorching Dragonfire, get that out of here. I refuse to be rankled, sir. Or madam. And that's the game. GG. Nice 2-0. Let's look at the deck list one more time as we moved up to goal 2. Maybe we're moving up in the world after all, y'all. So overall there, good little 2-0 with this list here. Only doing 2 games for this video because it ended up like around 40 minutes or so for 2 games of gameplay here. Obviously control takes a little bit longer, even though our Rakdos opponents played really slow. It wasn't us going slow. But the deck felt sweet. I never got to use Sublime Epiphany, which makes me sad. But it was just a solid Jeskai control shell. The red having the Scorching Dragonfires and the Bone Crusher Giants. You know, we had a lot of removal here. Narset was actually surprisingly nice, being able to find some cards, being able to kill some stuff every now and then. Is this better than Esper? I don't think so. I think Esper is still probably the way to go with a control shell with Yorion, but this was really cool. Anytime I see things like Voracious Great Shark, I'm a sucker for creatures that counter spells. That's just kind of my wheelhouse here. But hey, you know, we played against Rakdos Control, where we have things like ECD, which is almost a dead card every time, and it felt really nice. Dream Trawler, putting in the work. Hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Let's go.